Chiney, you want to take a trip with me?
Let's do it.
Let's go coast to coast. NBA Cup edition. The top two teams in West Group A, they face off tonight. The Rockets in Portland. The Rockets and the Blazers, they're both 1-0 coming into group play tonight. Chiney, you've been preaching H-Town all season. Will we see them in Vegas in a couple weeks?
Look, I'm going to shoot my shot. Hello, Houston. We do not have a problem. Their starting five last game combined for 90 points. They're turning the quarter. Alperen Şengün is that triple-double guy, and he's playing so well. Jalen Green has been explosive. I am loving what I'm seeing from my squad. Right, Perk?
Yeah.
H-Town 281-713-832.
I picked them to make the playoffs.
Me too.
Speaking of West Group A, not sure the area codes, the Kings and the Clippers, they play tonight. They're both 0-1 in group play. That means neither team could afford to lose in this one. They'd be teetering on the brink of elimination from Cup contention. So, Perk, who do you think wins tonight, the Kings or the Clippers?
Ooh, it's going to be hard. I know De'Aaron Fox, he's been playing off the charts, but the Clippers at the crib, I like the Clippers. I like the way James Harden has been playing. Ty Lue has these boys playing dirty, grimy, feisty, ready to scrap.
The Clippers have two great wins at home this week, Warriors and Magic.
Yeah, this is going to make three.
Well, let's go from Group A to Group C, shall we? That's where the Warriors visit the Pelicans, or half of the Pelicans. Golden State is 2-0 in group play and will look to keep their hot start going tonight. Windy, this is supposed to be the group of death, but it's looking like the Warriors are in the driver's seat. Do you like...
You say it's the group of death.
Do you
By
like
the way, what a great play by Williamson. Sorry.
Winning the second ever NBA Cup.
Well, they're in great shape here. They win this. Not only do they win this group, I think they're in great shape to get a home game in the quarterfinals. So handle your business, win this game, and move on.
It's not handle your business. What do we call it in this studio?
Well, you can stand on your business, but you should handle it too. Handle it and then stand on it.
A little bit of both. So let's take a look at the standings for West Group C. Golden State leading the way after beating both the Mavs and the Grizzlies. And tonight they can clinch West Group C
I'm sorry,
with a
this
win.
is not the group of death.
And a Denver loss. You got to admit, it looks
now
like
Luka's
it coming
hurt,
into
for
the
crying
year.
out loud.
That is true. They will become the first team to advance to the knockout rounds if
It can't be the group of death if you can advance on the third game.
Brian, it's a battle in this group. And it is a battle in our studio. Perk, Chiney, let's get ready to rumble!
Let's go! It's time for another edition of Doing Breakdowns. It's time for Family Feud. You know, when we think about Big Bro versus Little Sis, but this time without the Batmans likely out, Jokic and Luka, we're going to do a little bit of Kyrie and Jamal Murray, Mavs versus Nuggets. You pick a side, Perk.
Well, one, I think it's disrespectful to say that Kyrie Irving is not a Batman because he's putting up Batman-type numbers this year as like he was doing last year. This season, 54% from the three. And guess what?
What?
It's best in the NBA, minimum 50 attempts from the three-point line. Now, look, let me show you what Kyrie's been doing, okay? I know it's going to look like you're watching a little bit of Golden State and stuff, but you're not. You're actually watching the Mavs and Kyrie Irving. Look at him coming off this handoff. Look at the separation that he creates. Look at how he dots this man eye. The feet are lined up, they're aligned, all net. Butter. Okay, here we go again. Kyrie Irving in the corner. Look at the closeout by Jamal Murray. There, you see that weakness? Watch how you make him do the little cha-cha slide. Get back some a little bit, using the pivot, little crossover, step back, deep corner, and guess what? Yeah, butter. This is Kyrie Irving right now, averaging 25 points, shooting 54% from the field. Best three-point shooting in the game.
Okay, that was cute. That was nice. You know what? They're going to have to close out on him as well, Mr. Jamal Murray, because when you look at these numbers, I want you guys to see this. They're 15-2, the Nuggets, when Jamal Murray makes 4 or more three-point field goals in a game. Now, I know he was kind of in a little bit of a slump last 3 games prior to the one before. He was averaging like 15 points, but he bounced back with 27, 5 or 10 from 3 for plays like this. He can lose his handle, and there's still no problem. He's so good at creating separation off the dribble. And you saying dot in the eye, that's dominant right there, too. But more importantly, as a catch and shooter, that's his go-to. No Jokic, no problem on this possession. He moves well without the ball, relocates. Again, 41% three-point field goal catch and shooter. So yes, okay, Perk, I understand these guys are great clutch performers. We've seen some good situations from them in the playoffs, but head-to-head, without Jokic, without Luka, these guys will absolutely have to step up Malika.
Yeah, but Chiney, your breakdown was good. Kyrie Irving, he had his season high 43 against Denver. So I think he may be the one to watch here, Brian. And he has a player option at the end of the season. And usually that's not something we're keying in on in November, but you are. Why?
I think you have to start talking about Kyrie Irving could potentially be a free agent next season. In fact, the way he's playing is so strong, I would assume he's going to opt out of that contract. And I think he wants to remain in Dallas, but they're going to have to pay him. You know, there was a lot of people who thought that the Mavericks might have even overpaid Kyrie a year ago because they thought, boy, there wasn't anybody competing with them. Who is he going to make this offer? It's been a great contract for the Mavericks. Kyrie's having far and away his best efficiency season, especially if he carries them while Luka's dealing with an injury here. He's going to be a strong candidate to get back to the All-Star game.
Another matchup that we will have our eyes on is the 76ers and the Nets. Unfortunately, it's because we're tracking injuries in this one, Shams. This is the question I have asked so many times already this season, but what can you tell us about Joel Embiid's status for this one, Shams?
Malika, Joel Embiid is listed questionable tonight. He didn't participate in shoot-around today, this morning, and this is coming off a 35-point, 11-rebound game on Wednesday, and then they play tonight, and then on Sunday against the Clippers. So it's not a back-to-back situation for Joel Embiid. So we'll see if he plays or not. Paul George also out tonight. He'll be out on Sunday. He'll be reevaluated on Monday. I'm told there is optimism that he's back in the lineup at some point next week with that re-aggravated bone bruise in the left knee.
Okay, so optimism he could be back. Brian, I don't like to talk about must-win games in November.
You should, because I'm going to tell you something. Let's get away from you really quick here. They have 2 games coming up with the Magic. The Magic are dominating. They've won 7 of the last 8 games. They have to win this game. They are playing a team in the East that is a sub-500 team, a weaker team in Brooklyn. And kind of the scary thing about this is, if you're Brooklyn, you're looking at the 76ers as a weak team. The Nets are still alive in their group in the NBA Cup. The Sixers are cooked. The Nets are like, we should beat this weak team. We should come in and beat. This is a must-win game for us, and that's a real problem. Embiid doesn't go in this game. They lose this game. They fall to 2-13. I'm just going to point something out that I didn't think I would ever be pointing out, and I can't even believe I'm even talking about this in November. The 76ers pick is top 6 protected. When is that going to start coming into focus? How many games are they going to keep falling below 500? And, you know, Embiid banged knees the other night with Jaren Jackson. I'm sure that's contributing to his questionable status. Like, how far are we going to go here?
Right.
They got to stop the bleeding now. It's got to happen now.
Well, it's going to be much more difficult to do that if Joel Embiid isn't able to go in this one. And right now he is listed as questionable. Shams, unfortunately, I do want to stick with injuries here because the Pelicans and Warriors, they're in action tonight, and Zion Williamson remains on the long injury report here for New Orleans. He's been out with a left hamstring strain since November the 6th. Shams, when can we expect to see Zion back on the court?
Malika, I'm told Zion Williamson is not remotely close to coming back to the floor, and he's going to be out a while longer. And this is an injury, typically a 4 to 6 week injury, which would put him at about mid-December. But the Pelicans are bracing for him to be out beyond that point. I'm told he has received multiple injections in that hamstring. And so he is in a position now where they're going to have to see exactly the way, you know, he responds to that.
Not remotely close. Go ahead.
Shams is going to be careful. If he's having injections, once you have an injection, it pushes you out even further. Like, this is a long way out. I think this decision is getting made for the Pelicans. The Pelicans are 4-12. They are facing an uphill battle to win tonight's game. Obviously, they are home, but they're playing the Warriors. Warriors coming off a loss. They're 4-13. The Western Conference is brutal. They're going to have to confront the reality, especially if what Shams is saying here ends up being true, and he's out into the new year. You're looking at a Memphis Grizzlies gap year situation consideration. This is an extremely deep draft. You have Brandon Ingram that you can potentially try to trade. The Zion situation is more complicated. His contract is odd. It's one of the most unique contracts in the history of the NBA. His contract is actually not guaranteed after this season. The next 2 years ago, he only played 29 games, and the long story short, his next 3 seasons are unguaranteed. But the Pelicans are invested in him. They want him to come back.
Right.
We saw last year, Memphis had all those injuries. They lost Ja about this. Well, he came back from the suspension a little bit later, but they lost Ja, and then they decided to play for the draft. I think that's rushing at the Pelicans being a realistic situation very soon.
Shams, last word here.
Yeah, this is unfortunate for Zion Williamson because he came into training camp in the best shape of his career, the least amount he's weighed over the course of his career. And you can make a case. This Pelicans team is the deepest, most talented team we've seen in New Orleans. And so the hope is that Zion Williamson over the next few weeks can get healthy, but they need him. They need to see this team in whole.
Yeah, when we were talking about the additions of DeJounte Murray, this is not the season that the New Orleans Pelicans brass expected for their stars, and yet here we are. Shams, thank you so very much. We will continue to check in with you on these injuries around the league.